All right. Hello and welcome to the Miracle Morning for Network Marketers audio series / podcast, depending on where you might be finding this information and this content at the moment. My name is Pat Petrini. I'm the co-author of the #1 best-selling book, The Miracle Morning for Network Marketers. And in creating this book, we reached out to some of the very top network marketers in the world, and we interviewed them, some of the top performers, both people that have been around the network marketing world for years and even decades, as well as people that are fairly newcomers that have just been around for the last few years, but have had extreme success in those just those last few years. And we reached out, we interviewed them. That's what this series is all about. You're going to hear interviews from a number of different people. And in these interviews, we dive into not only their tips, strategies, techniques, things that have really accelerated their business, but also, and of course this was sort of the thesis, the theme of the book is the Miracle Morning for Network Marketers. We delve into their morning routines and their daily rituals, things that they consider to be critical for success that are really important for them to do every single day. And what we found, the whole concept of the Miracle Morning is that not every successful person does all of these different things every day, but just about every successful person does some of these things every day, has some of these daily rituals, oftentimes morning rituals, and so we dive into that in this audio series. Now, if you're not familiar with the book, you can check out the book, of course, at Amazon. Just go to Amazon and search for The Miracle Morning for Network Marketers. You'll find it right there. And then, of course, you can also go to our website. You may be listening to this recording right there on our website, but if you're not, if you're finding it somewhere else, go to tmm4networkmarketers.com. That's TMM, like the Miracle Morning, FOR, networkmarketers.com. Again, my name is Pat Petrini. I hope you're going to enjoy this interview. I know you're going to enjoy this interview. You might want to have a pen and paper handy, and on with the show. Thanks a lot. All right, welcome everybody to our recording today, to the interview. My name is Pat Petrini, one of the co-authors of the Miracle Morning for Network Marketers, and you may be finding this recording, this interview, on our website. You may be finding it on our podcast, wherever you're finding it. We appreciate you tuning in. I'm really excited to share this interview with you guys today. A very good friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine, Justin Prince, that we've got on phone. Justin has been in this industry for quite a while now. We both have kind of together. We worked together in different ways in the past. And anyway, he's accomplished big things for especially how many years he still has in front of him. So, Justin, are you on the line here with me?
I am, Pat. Great to be on with you.
Yeah, likewise. I appreciate you jumping on and being part of this project that we're putting together here. So,
yeah, it's my honor. I'm so excited to be a part of your first book. I'm sure this will be the first of many, and it's an honor to be a part of any project you're up to.
I love it. Well, so for everybody just tuning in, for anybody who maybe doesn't know of the Justin Prince, if you want to give us a little bit of a run through of kind of your background, where you kind of came from, professionally, and kind of how you got into the network marketing world, and kind of where you are today.
Well, I'm happy to share. So I'm from Salt Lake City, Utah. My wife and I live out here. We have 4 young kids. My wife is a homeschool mom, so if you can imagine, from 11 down to 3, 4 kids from 11 down to 3, with all at home all day long. It's a pretty interesting crew here. So I grew up here in a place called Sandy, Utah, just about 30 minutes south of Salt Lake City. My dad had been married before, so when my mom married my dad, they had 2 kids, a 2-year-old and a 1-year-old. I was my mom's oldest. She had 4 children. My folks, when I was 12, got divorced. And that was an interesting time. I moved in with my mom as the oldest child at home and the oldest son at home. And that was an interesting time, going through those kind of early years, those teenage years and so on, with a single mom. I remember she pulled out Monopoly money one day, Pat, and she goes, "Should I put it all on the board?" She's like, "Hey, this covers our rent, this covers our utilities, this covers our groceries." And she ran out of the Monopoly money, and she goes, we still owe this, and this, these different bills that we had as a family. We moved 13 times in the next couple of years. So it was just a unique time. I think it helps to kind of forge a little bit of who you became as a man, because I kind of had to grow up kind of quick. And
it's a great visual to explain it to. How old were you at that time?
Oh, I was probably 13 or 14, and my little brother was 11, my little sister was 9, just these young kids, and she's walking through this Monopoly money, and she didn't have, on purpose. She showed us there wasn't enough Monopoly money to pay, all the bills that it took. So that was an interesting time, but a great, example. And again, I kind of became the man of the house as a young kid. And I always had big dreams, even as a kid, big goals, big dreams. I remember selling stuff door to door as a young kid. I'm talking like, 4 and 5 years old. But remember when I was 16, I started working for a place called Papa Murphy's Take and Bake Pizza. One of my friend's dad was an entrepreneur and owned this little business. And we would make pizza. So when you have acne and you're 16 and you smell like pizza, it's not that easy to get a date. But I would make pizza at 16. I remember at 18, I was lining a ditch with rocks. My dad was a land developer and a home builder. And he had this subdivision that they had dug out what was going to turn into a little stream that was going to run through this little subdivision once it was all finished. And my job was to retain it with these rocks, to basically line this ditch with rocks. And I remember being in this, it's about 102 degrees here in Salt Lake City in the summer. I'm in this ditch, and I have these 2 rocks, and I'm sweating. And I hit the rocks up to the dirt, and it goes poof. This dust hits my face. I remember thinking, my life sucks. Like, I'm lining a ditch with rocks. Like, it doesn't get any worse than this. And I made kind of a commitment to myself at that moment. It was interesting. You have those inner conversations with yourself. And I remember thinking, I'm going to learn how to make a living with my mind and my mouth and not my back and my hands. Because at that point, all the money I'd ever made was kind of manual type work. It wasn't, lining a ditch with rocks is kind of menial. It doesn't take a lot of thought process. When I was 21, I was introduced to sales. I was actually introduced, Pat, you and I had kind of a similar background in this way, that I was introduced to kind of direct sales, like direct-to-consumer sales. I worked with a multimedia company, and we sold both door-to-door. We sold through appointments, but primarily I sold out of locations like mall kiosks. And I sold animated Bible videos, if you can imagine. So I was that guy you would see at a mall, and you're like, honey, don't make eye contact with that guy, because you're try and stop you and try and sell you some animated Bible videos. So as a young man, 21 years old, started into that. And again, Pat, as you know, in sales, if you're willing to work hard, if you're willing to learn the skill set, you can actually, make a kind of a significant amount of money, particularly, for your age and education level. And I remember when I was in my second semester of college, about halfway through my second semester, not second year, not second graduate degree, my second semester, mind you. I remember thinking, I'm making more than my professor. Maybe I shouldn't do this anymore. So I ended up dropping out a semester and a half into college, which I don't know if that was a wise move or not, but kept kind of cranking away with this little sales job. When I was 23. My wife and I were married. We had one little baby on the way. And for anyone that has children, they'll know what I'm talking about here. But whenever you're either have a child or expecting a child, you can feel that pressure a little bit of like, man, I gotta make sure I can provide not only for me but for my spouse and for this new child coming to the world. So I remember feeling a little bit of pressure as a 23-year-old kid. And I listened to an audio series by a gentleman named Jim Rohn. And Pat, you and I both have heard a bunch of his material over the years. But he had a weekend seminar with all these great speakers, Dennis Waitley and Brian Tracy and a whole bunch of others. And they spoke on this stage for a weekend. So it was like 3 days worth of content. So it was like hours and hours and hours in my car. And I remember at the very end, Mr. Rohn stands up and he says, we now have enough testimonials and enough personal experiences to conclude that it's possible to create and to design an extraordinary life. And Pat, sometimes you hear other people's stories, other people's testimonials, other people's examples, and you know it's possible for them. I remember hearing that thinking, I know it's possible for those folks, I just know it's going to be possible for me. And when I was 25, I was always looking for opportunities. I remember asking my dad, I said, Dad, how do you find opportunity? And he said, you just keep doing what you're doing, and it will come to you. You just keep focused on what you're doing. And when I was 25 years old, my little boy was 1 year old, driving down the street, and I received a phone call from a medical doctor friend of mine here in Salt Lake City, the foot and ankle surgeon. And I used to be a personal trainer, and I personal trained his 2 twin sons. They were all-state basketball players. And we're talking. I said, hey, how you doing? I get talking with him, and great to catch up with him. So after a while of kind of the small talk, I remember I said to him, so what's up? why are you calling me? Because he didn't call me every day. And he said, that's network marketing. And I remember thinking, oh, no. So I had, for whatever reason, I had this negative connotation or negative reaction to it, to a point where my stomach kind of dropped. I just felt like, oh, no. And I remember thinking, who conned this guy into conning me into one of those loan things? And he said, Justin, look, I know you've had some success in your career, and I think so highly of you, and I wanted to reach out. You may not have an interest in this or whatever, but I wanted to tell you about it. And he started kind of giving me his little sales pitch, if you will, and I remember thinking to myself, I didn't hear a word he was saying. I remember just thinking, what if? What if this is that thing? Like, what if this is the thing that I've always wanted? And as he went, and I just was asking myself, what if this is that thing that you knew one day, if you could ever have the opportunity, you could ever have a legitimate opportunity, you'll make something of your life. And so at the very end of the conversation, he says to me, hey, so here's the thing. You ever tell anyone I called you at network marketing, I'm going to cut your legs off and throw you in a river? And I kind of liked it. I kind of laughed because he kind of was coming at me the way that I had this negative connotation. But I was open to opportunity. I was very open to opportunity. I was very hungry, very ambitious. And so I joined networking, and maybe to kind of sum up how I built two multi-million-dollar businesses in my 20s. I made my first $1 million in my 20s, which was kind of cool. And then when I was 32 years old, I became an equity partner in a $300 million global enterprise. At 33, I had built an annual income that I'll bet places me probably in the top 1% of earners globally in the network marketing profession, which is just incredible to think. And I share that with you for all your listeners to say this. I want them to think of their goals and their dreams, and not just the dreams they have for their career, but the dreams that they have for their family and the dreams they have for their future and the life and the legacy they hope to leave. And what I want to share is this, that it's possible. I can now share my testimonial and my personal experience to tell you that it's possible. It's possible for you to create, to design an extraordinary life. And so that's a little bit of kind of my backstory and how it all kind of came together.
I love it. Well, and I want to, one of the things that I think gives you kind of some really unique perspective that I want to dive into in a little bit is that you've kind of split both sides in some ways of being in the field and kind of and on the corporate side, to some level. So I want to dive into that a little bit to get some of your perspective on some of those things. But in kind of your coming up, as you were kind of moving through the ranks and maybe like when you were early, or whether it was earlier on in your sales training or some of those times that you decided that it was possible for you, like what were some of the, were there any books that you sort of any books that maybe you read that had kind of those caused those shifts for you that really like shifted your thinking, or just any key concepts that really landed on you that really shifted your thinking as you were coming up that kind of pop out to you?
There absolutely was. I think anyone that you'll meet that's successful, they'll have either audio series or books or a combination of both, or mentors, like a physical mentor, that something that mentored them along the way. And there's many for me, many, right? But I remember they would say things like, Think and Grow Rich, that book. And so finally, I remember one day I was like, man, sounds like I better read that book because everyone else keeps mentioning it. And that was a profound book. That book is written in an old English because it's 100 and some odd years old. But the point is, it's still the overall concepts are still very applicable. I remember when I was really struggling in my sales career. My attitude was struggling. I couldn't sell anything to anybody. I wanted to quit so badly. I remember the manager guy I had at the time gave me 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. And, we talked about be proactive, begin with the end in mind. I mean, just those little concepts kind of helped to change my perspective and my attitude and really saved my sales career, which saved my career, because that kept me heading down a path of commission and helped me heading down a path of really learning to maximize my potential and not just go get an $8 an hour job or $10 an hour job. I'll tell you a quick one that I think really shook me up. Like it almost helped to shape a lot of my future moving forward. Was a book called Rich Dad Poor Dad. And a lot of young entrepreneurs have read this book. It's written in like third grade English, so it took me 9 months to finish. But So Rich Dad Poor Dad had a concept in it that really shook me up. And so for your listeners, I'm going to encourage you, like almost if you want to write this on a piece of paper, just to follow along with this super simple, super basic conceptual idea that, man, I remember it really just shook me up. But what he said is he had the word poor. Like what you're talking about, poor people. The whole book, by the way, is written rich people, poor people, rich people, poor people. Rich dad told me this, poor dad told me this. So that's how he writes his book. So he has this word poor, and he underlines the word. And so I remember thinking to myself as I'm reading it, I remember thinking, I don't like this page already because it says poor, and I don't want to be the poor guy.
Right.
So below the word poor, it had the word income. And then he explained, an income is, someone is generating from their job or their income each month. I thought, okay, cool. And I remember thinking, I have an income. Then under the word income, it had an arrow down to the word expenses. He basically said what poor people do is they make money and they pay their bills. They make money, they pay their rent, their mortgage, they make money, they pay their cell phone, their car. They basically pay their bills. And I remember thinking to myself, that's not what poor people do. That's what I do. And I didn't think I was poor. I was just a guy out there, making a living. So I turned the page over and it says rich. And I remember thinking, I like this page more already. This page is off to a good start. He underlines the word rich, and he says they have an income. And so here we are back to what poor people have. Poor people have incomes. I'm thinking, what? Below the word income, he writes an arrow down to the word assets. And I remember thinking to myself, what is an asset? Because he writes an arrow below the word asset to the word expenses. So he says what rich people do is they have incomes, their incomes build assets, and their assets pay the expenses. And I remember thinking to myself, well, I just wanted to learn what an asset is. If an asset can pay all my expenses and I can still keep my income, then I can become financially independent. I remember just that concept. So there's two ways, Pat, as there's two ways to build an asset. You can put money to work for you through investing, or you can put people to work for you through a business. And so that became my little goal, is to learn how to invest money properly and then also learn how to build businesses. And that's when I think because of that idea, that concept, that's why network marketing, I didn't shut it down. I didn't, let my skepticism and my biases and candidly my just pure lack of knowledge and lack of information and lack of people are down on what they're not up on. I wasn't up on it. I just didn't get it. And
right.
So I didn't let that kill my future because I was open to this idea of building an asset. I was open to the idea of building a business that paid me money each month, whether I continue to exchange time or effort for it. And that was that idea, that concept of building something over a period of time. And I wasn't looking for something for nothing. I was willing to work for it. But I wanted it to be the kind of thing that over a period of time, it would continue to generate cash for me, whether I continue to exchange time or effort for it. That I was very passionate about. So when I first joined networking when I was 25, I was very passionate and very dialed and very focused on this idea of building an asset. Because I remember thinking, I'll use the example, if you're let's just say all of your expenses are $1,000 a month. And again, money's so relative, so most likely most of our expenses are probably more than that, but let's just use this as our baseline example. Your expenses are $1,000 a month, and you can build an asset, something that's going to pay you money each month, whether you continue to exchange your time and effort for it, that's over $1,000 a month. Let's say it's $1,000 or $1,100 or $1,200 or $1,500. You, for all intents and purposes, you're basically financially independent because you don't have to exchange time or effort for the income that's paying all your bills. And so I remember just thinking, hey, here's my number, here's what I need to hit, and I just went for it. And that became kind of a driving force of this idea of building an asset and setting my family up financially.
Yeah, I love that, and I agree. I can clearly remember when I first read Rich Dad Poor Dad also, and I would for sure include that in one of probably in the top 5 books for myself as well that have really shifted that thinking. And I can also clearly remember when my network marketing income first surpassed that level because it was this taste of freedom that I had never experienced ever before when you know that check is coming in next month as well. And you've got the whole month basically left still to kind of have fun, enjoy, do what you want to do. That was a really fun experience as well. So, and actually, side note for all the people listening, if you haven't checked out Robert Kiyosaki, you really got to check out his books, Rich Dad Poor Dad. He's also a huge advocate of network marketing. He's a huge advocate of the business model. He's written some books on it. And kind of shameless plug, he's actually a huge advocate of Miracle Morning. If anyone else to Google Miracle Morning, Robert Kiyosaki, he picked up the book just not too long ago and flipped out about it and just absolutely loves the Miracle Morning. So we've got kind of a cool endorsement from Robert Kiyosaki as well in that. So anyway, okay, so I want to change gears. One of the things that I love that, obviously you and I have kind of worked together in the past in different capacities, and so I've had the opportunity to listen to a lot of your trainings. And one of the things that I've always enjoyed is one of the messages that you give that is one of the things that just always stands out to me as sort of a really unique training that you give is sort of the 4 reasons why successful people should meet. And I think it's such a simple, but it's such a great tool for people as far as approaching other people, particularly approaching people that maybe are, the harder people on their list to approach, that maybe a little intimidating or whatever. So I wanted to see if you could take a few minutes and kind of share that with the listeners, because I think people will get a lot out of that.
Yeah. So you and I actually had a similar mentor. A gentleman that poured a lot of his philosophies into us, and a lot of these 4 legitimate business reasons why everyone should listen to you came from that same guy. Yeah. And Pat, to your point, I think sometimes we join networking, we have kind of a list of people that we have more credibility than. We can almost just say, dude, you're doing this, whether you like it or not, like our little brother will just sign up. But that list tends to run out pretty darn quick. And so then you're kind of into, talking to people that maybe have even more credibility than you have or more influence than you have. And so people can start to fumble and bumble a little bit. The other thing that I think happens is our posture, our confidence is a little bit funky at first. We don't have a ton of confidence. And once I kind of understood and really mastered these 4 legitimate business reasons why anyone should listen to you, this is when the whole thing started kind of coming to life for me. I got to the point where I could get a point with anybody. So let me give you some backdrop. Businesses find a need and fill it, find a problem and solve it. I had a problem. And the problem I had was I wasn't that great at setting up appointments. And the way that I was mentored is if you can't get an appointment, if you can't get up to bat, you're never going to get a hit, right? You're never going to have a chance to succeed if you can't even get someone to even listen to what you're even up to in the first place. Right, and I think we could all relate to that. And again, hopefully some of these things I'll share with you guys, if any of you are struggling with this idea of you call someone and they say something like this, you go, hey, John, it's me, and they go, I'm not interested. Before you even get into it, they're like, I'm not interested, or I don't have enough time, or I can't afford it. And I remember thinking to myself, you're not interested in what? You don't even know what I'm doing yet. We haven't even met yet, let alone talk to you about it. But they're shooting me down before I even had a chance to get up to bat. And so this mentor gentleman flies into Salt Lake City where I lived. I go to his hotel in the morning. We're sitting there in the lobby, and I have my little notepad out. I have a pen, and he says to me, he goes, how you doing at getting appointments? I didn't want to be like one of those guys that just complains or whatever. So I said, so I just lied to him. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing all right. And he goes, how you really doing at it? And I go, not so good. I'm not that great at it. And he goes, do you want me to tell you the 4 legitimate business reasons why everyone should sit down and listen to what you have to say? And I remember literally thinking to myself, well, of course I want to hear those, right? So I pull up my paper and my pen. This is what he says to me. He says, I need to ask you to make me a promise. And I said, what's that? And he said that you promise you'll memorize these. So here's the promise I'm going to ask you guys to give me, is that you'll actually memorize these. And the reason is there's no power in paraphrasing. You want to have these be able to roll off your tongue. I've spoken all over the world in different markets. And when you speak with an interpreter, they don't translate what you say. They interpret what you say. So, for example, you'll say something in American and they'll translate into Korean or into Japanese or into Taiwanese. They'll translate what you say, or pardon me, they'll interpret what you say. They'll basically say what this idiot American just said was, and they'll interpret it. They'll give you their take on what you just said. He said that there's no power in paraphrasing, because I want you to literally learn this word for word for word. So I took these 4 legitimate business reasons down, and I studied them in the mirror. That is not a joke. Literally in the mirror, I stood there until I could recite them just off the top of my head. And when you hear them, you're going to see the power is not in paraphrasing what I'm saying, not interpreting what I'm saying, but actually memorizing it word for word. So let me give you the.
let me just interrupt you real quick, because I just want to point out one thing is that I think that such a huge difference. So I think that it's there's little things that separate, seemingly little things that separate. It's always a mystery to people. Well, why do so many people not succeed? What's the difference between the people that do and the people that don't? The difference is that, like, you went home and actually stood in front of the mirror and actually memorized these things. Most people in that training session, I think, would write those notes and be like, that was really, really great stuff. I think I pretty much remember that, but never, like, really take the time to actually really internalize that. And it's that extra step, I just think, that is what really, like you said, you and I both had that mentor. I know that you and I both were, like, as we were coming up in network marketing, like, just trying to be sponges off of that guy and, like, trying to suck everything that we could out of him and apply it. And most people, there's Bob. I mentioned Bob in the book. Actually, a lot of people that read the book that know Bob, that know that I plagiarize Bob all over the place, because that's where where we come from. I try to give him credit at the beginning for it, but anyway, Bob taught this information to who knows how many thousands of people. But what is the percentage of people that actually got in front of the mirror and really memorized it? It's a very small percentage, and it's probably approximately the percentage of people that went on to earn six-figure incomes and above in network marketing. So anyway, just wanted to point that little thing out. Sorry, carry on.
I completely agree with that. By the way, one of Bob's sayings, he used to say that worst thing for ambition is comfort. Well, right. I wasn't comfortable. I was ambitious. I was uncomfortable. And so because of that, I was crazy ambitious. And I've been able to narrow down success to three things. You have to have ambition, you have to have a mentor, and you have to have opportunity. And I have brought a ton of ambition to the party. And so you're hearing this, and by the way, you probably won't be listening to this right now unless you are a pretty ambitious person. You're the kind of person that's buying the Miracle Morning book, buying the Miracle Morning for a Network Marketer book, studying them, learning them. You're my kind of person. The person listening to this is my kind of person, because you have that ambition, that hope, that dream, that desire, that passion in your heart to become the person that you know that you were born to become, and to help inspire the lives that you know that you can. And so there people listening right now, Pat, are people just like you and me, right? They're the ones that went to the top because they had that fire and ambition, and obviously we were fortunate to have good mentors. One of the reasons I love this book and was grateful to be part of it is these books can help mentor us. These books can be your mentor. Like Pat Petrini can be your mentor even if you haven't even met him. You can just from afar, you can plug into and learn from his years of experience and wisdom. He's a great person to be able to to soak information from and to glean from. So let me give you guys a quick little tip before we get into these 4 legitimate business reasons. Like, anyone should listen to what you have to say. I like to let people off the hook before they ever feel like they're on the hook. So I use language like this. I'll say, hey, let's say I'm calling John. John, you may have an interest in what I'm up to. You may not. Either way is fine. Or you might have an interest. You might not. Either way is fine. Or John, this may be for you. It may not be for you. Either way is fine. You guys can hear I'm just let him off the hook. My goal is not to convince or coerce him to do anything. My goal is to educate and inform, and that's it. My goal is education and information. I feel like if I can inform people and help them become educated, then I've done my job. And so you might have an interest, you might not. So you'll hear me kind of reference that idea as I go through these. But here they are. Number 1, legitimate business reason why anyone should listen to what you have to say is because it always makes sense for good people to meet. It always makes sense for good people to meet. So I'd call John. John, look, I'd love to share with you what I'm up to. And this is also particularly good if I want to introduce him to someone else, whether it's on a 3-way phone call or maybe a 2-on-1 coffee type experience, or a lunch, or come to an event, come to my meeting, come to my home, come to the local city meeting. Basically, I say to him, hey, John, look, he goes, I just don't know if I'm interested. Hey, John, you may not be interested, and that's totally fine. Whether you have an interest or you don't, either way is completely fine for me. But here's the thing. I want you to come to this event because I'm sure you'd agree with me, John, it always makes sense for good people to meet. It always makes sense for good people to meet. That's number 1. Number 2, right? Because all good business is referral business. So the second legitimate business reason why anyone should listen to what you have to say is because all good business is referral business. So I'd say to John, he goes, I just don't have the time. Say, John, look, you probably don't. That's totally fine. I know how busy you are. And I'll share with you what I'm up to. If it makes sense to you, that's great. If it doesn't, that's fine. But, John, I'm sure you'd agree with me that all good business is referral business. So even if this is not the right thing for you, you may know someone who it would be great for, and I would appreciate the referral. And the reason I would is because, John, I believe that all good business is referral business. Now, my wife and I just got our family pictures taken, just barely. And my wife found this lady on a blog. We went to California like 5 years ago, and my wife found this lady's blog. She happened to live in California. We took our pictures. This is like the third or fourth time she's taken our family pictures. And I was starting a little business project out there in California. This is years ago. And I called this lady, the same lady. Her name is Jailere. I called her and I said, hey, can you give me some referrals? I need to get into that market. Here's what I'm looking for. And she gave me referrals. I've also referred her photography business. If you're in restaurants, if you're in real estate, if you're in mortgages, if you're in insurance, if you have a CPA or an attorney, all good business is referral business. And the highest compliment you can give a business professional is a referral. So I say to people, hey, look, you may have an interest, you may not, but I at least want to share with you what I'm up to. Let's at least meet for coffee. Let me at least get you the information. Let me at least have you review the video. Let me introduce you to my mentor, whatever your exposure process is. Let me at least share with you what I'm up to, because even if it's not for you, that's totally fine. But even if it's not for you, I believe that all good business is referral business. You may know someone who would be great at this, and candidly, I'd appreciate the referral. That's the second legitimate business reason. The third legitimate business reason why anyone should listen to what you have to say is what I call life timing. So here's how this one works. You say to someone, hey, John, this may not be the right time in your life. I totally understand that. But if your situation ever changes, I want to be the first phone call you make. Pat, you remember our mentor used to say this. He said, if your situation ever changes in 6 months, I want to be the first phone call you make. But right. Life timing matters for people, life timing. And what I want to share with you guys is this. Life timing can change. So, for example, someone can say no to your business right now, but tomorrow they go to work and their boss treats them like dirt, and they instantly, their timing has changed. Or maybe their mom is sick right now. It's the wrong time in their life to really focus on anything else. She recovers, and in 3 months they're kind of in a completely different, mental capacity space in their head. So the third reason is because what I call life timing. I say to someone, they say, I just don't have enough time. I say, John, you probably don't have enough time right now. That's completely fine. But let me share this. Let me at least share with you what I'm up to. Let's at least meet. Let me get you the information, because I want you to at least know what I'm doing. Because if your situation ever changes in 3 months or 6 months, I want to be the first phone call you make. I know how important life timing is. So if your situation ever changes, I want to be the first phone call you make. That's the third legitimate business reason. And the fourth one is what's called knowledge is never a disadvantage. And so I'd say to someone, I say, I just don't know if I'm going to be interested, or I just don't know if I have enough time. I say, look, John, you may not have an interest. If you do, that's great. If you don't, that's fine. I at least want to share with you what I'm up to, because I'm sure you'd agree with me, knowledge and good information is never a disadvantage. So let me at least share with you what I'm up to. Now, let me end this section by saying this. When you memorize these, you can actually weave them together. So you're talking to someone, they say, I just don't know if I'm really into network marketing. I'm really focused on my real estate business, and I just don't think I'd have any interest to meet. Say, hey, John, totally understand. I appreciate your candidness. You may have an interest in what I'm up to. You may not. This may not be your thing. That's totally fine. But, John, let me say this. I'm sure you'd agree with me that knowledge and good information is never a disadvantage. And plus, I really want to introduce you to Pat, because my philosophy is this. It always makes sense for good people to meet. It's always good to have contacts like a Pat Petrini in your Rolodex. The other thing I'd share with you is this, bro. Even if right now is the wrong time for you, if your situation ever changes in 3 months or 6 months or 9 months, I want to be the first phone call you make. And if it never changes, you may know someone. I believe all good business is referral business. Even if right now it's the wrong time just in general, you may know someone that would be the right time for. And candidly, I'd appreciate the referral. So, can we meet Tuesday at 7? Now, here's the point. Jim Rohn says, people do what they do because they have reasons. He says if they have a strong enough reason or strong enough reasons, they can accomplish almost anything in the world. That's 4 legitimate business reasons why anyone should sit down with you. So when you learn to weave those together, you don't have to use every single one for every single person. But you get to a point where you stack enough compelling, legitimate business reasons why someone should meet. And the other thing I like about these, Pat, and I'll turn it back to you, is sometimes in network marketing, God bless us, but like we have these scripts that are just so kind of cheesy and just so terrible and so they elicit basically terrible responses. We'll say to someone,
"You're really sharp. Do you keep your options open?"
Yeah, I just had to say, "You're a sharp young man. Do you keep your income options open?" And people are just like, "Oh my gosh, let me guess.
Right.
This is network marketing, like that kind of thing."
Right.
When you change the way you approach people, you treat them with more respect, and you treat them with a little bit of a higher level of intelligence. You basically say to them, "Hey, look, I believe that all good business is referral business. It also shows that you're deadly serious at what you're up to. I'm building a business. I'm a professional, just like if I was building a real estate office or an insurance brokerage or a mortgage brokerage or starting a career as an attorney. I believe that all good business is referral business. This is what I'm going to be doing, and these are legitimate business reasons. So it's not manipulation. It's not hype. It's not stuff like, I'm so excited. This company's going from small to big. You guys know, kind of hypey, kind of crazy, invitations. They're just legitimate business reasons, and they're reasons. People get divorced because of reasons. They get married because they have reasons. They say never again, or I will, or I do because of reasons. And so they will meet with you because of reasons. So you want to stack these 4 legitimate business reasons to get appointments. I can get an appointment now with, and I don't mean this to sound, like in an arrogant way, but I literally feel like I can get an appointment with anybody because I can use those 4 legitimate business reasons to navigate whatever concerns they hit me with. I can use them to navigate the thought process. Yeah.
No, I agree, and I think I love these approaches, this kind of approach, because, like you said, it's very professional. It is the legitimate reasons why professional people are getting together all the time. And if you can really master these, like Justin was talking about, memorize them and present these well, then it actually these will be more appealing the higher the caliber person that you're talking to. Like it'll kind of, the more professional the person you're talking to, the more that this will actually resonate. Now the trick is you have to carry the professionalism through the whole process. You can't just have the professional approach and then drop it when you get them to the appointment and all of a sudden drop into cheesy network marketing mode. It should all be professional. But I love this approach because you really will. If you're talking to other professionals, this is the language and the presentation that professional people respond to. So, love it. Okay, so I want to jump topics a little bit here, and we of course, our main topic here is Miracle Morning for network marketers. So we're of course going to dive into Miracle Morning and dig into your morning routines and daily kind of rituals and stuff. But just maybe briefly, I know obviously you and I share. We've had many conversations on this topic. Like I mentioned, you have spanned sort of both the field side as well as working a lot on the corporate side of things, corporate development and everything. And so I know we share a lot of the same views on sort of the direction of the network marketing model. So I'll throw this out there. This is like a softball question for Justin because I know exactly his answers on this. But for everybody listening, I throw this out there because I really think that this is important, and not everybody would agree with Justin and I on this, but that's partly what we're doing in these interviews is if people are listening to these interviews, you're going to hear a lot of conflicting information of people that are all very, very, very successful. And so I think that this is an important topic. It's a topic related to choosing a network marketing company, deciding what company you're relating to or you're choosing to associate yourself with. And it's an important topic for kind of the direction of the network marketing industry. If you really see yourself as a professional and you see this as your sort of career choice or your choice for building a business, building an asset, then I think it's important to kind of be looking at some of these bigger picture things. So my question to you, Justin, is if you could just talk a little bit about some of the direction that you sort of see things going in sort of the network marketing model and some of the things that, I guess why you think it's heading that direction, why you think that's important, any of those things that people should sort of, and I guess it's on the topic of things that people should sort of consider when they're choosing a company to align themselves with.
Well, I do have a lot of energy on this, so I'll do my best to kind of keep this just kind of concise and short and to the point. But The world's
Yeah,
changing really rapidly.
This whole topic
right
here, I was going to have a topic in the book on this sort of topic, and then that chapter kind of turned into its own book that hopefully is going to come out in like 3 to 6 months. So it's obviously a big topic, right? So, but just I guess some nuggets for thought that maybe people can chew on. That's kind of on the topic, whatever comes to mind for you.
Yeah. So here's what I'm going to share. The network marketing profession is changing dramatically right now, and guess what? So is the rest of the world. The world's changing right now faster than it ever has. So Henry Ford said back in the 1920s, he said, if I would have asked the people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. They just couldn't see something different at the time, and so until they could see it, all they would say is they want faster horses. I think if you ask a lot of network marketers, particularly people who have been around just a little bit, you say to them, what do you want? Oh, I want like an infinity bonus for like on the comp plan and like it just on the new product and weight loss product or an energy drink. It's just all they can see is kind of what they've seen, and like all they know is what they've known. So let me see if I can share part of how the world's changing. The network marketing world is under scrutiny right now and really under attack, depending on how you want to look at it, from regulatory agencies more right now than it ever has been in the history of the profession. By quite a ways. Now, this is actually not a bad thing. Let me give you guys an example. When franchising first came to the market, now franchising would be Subways, McDonald's, and we're familiar with the franchising business model. It was not a legitimate business model when it first came to the market. What I mean by that is people were taking advantage of it and doing illegitimate things to a point where basically they were selling you the franchise idea without really backing it up with tangible, real stuff to actually help you run a business. So they were just making money by selling the idea of franchising it without helping franchisees to become successful. Well, the government came in and regulated the crap out of that industry. And now you're not going to talk to anybody who's going to be like, franchising, oh, that's a scam. Like, people don't feel that way anymore. It kind of built like this proven business model. Well, network marketing, I happen to be a big proponent of it, but it has its own little challenges, particularly like in public perception and in government perception. There's a whole bunch of different little minor there's issues in here like you kind of dive into of like, this and then this drives them crazy and that drives them crazy. But if I had to encapsulate it, what they're really ticked about is that we don't have a lot of customers. Now, let me share this. A networker might argue, no, I have customers on my team, like people are using the product every single month. That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about that we don't have real legitimate retail customers. Like, I'll give you guys an example. And anyone that's done networking for a lot of years, they'll be like, yep, we've done that. You'll go to the whiteboard and you'll say, okay, there's 8 ways you get paid in our comp plan. Way number 1, retail sales. Buy it at wholesale, sell it at retail. And then we're like, yeah, right. No one's ever done that in the history of networking because our pricing models aren't built that way. And so if I pay the registration fee, I get wholesale pricing. If I don't pay the registration fee, then I get retail pricing, and I have to be a customer. So therefore, everyone's kind of squished or forced. Even people who don't even want to do your business, they're kind of squished to have to become kind of reps or distributors or associates because they have to buy the wholesale price, buy the registration fee, and buy the wholesale pricing. Typically, they sign up policies and procedures and so on. Well, the other way the world's changing, let me tie these two together, is the world of retail is changing right now faster than it ever has in human history as well. So we're watching, like my little boy's 11. If you ask my little boy what's Amazon, he's not going to say a river. He's going to say, this company that my mom
right.
And so the world's changing really dramatically. There's new retailers. There's about 10 years or so ago, maybe 11 years ago, there was this phenomenon, this boom. It's what's called social shopping. And basically what that is these new online retailers have no brick and mortar stores. They put up a site. They typically drove their site through what's called a give-get model. The give-get model would be you give your friend $10 off their first purchase or $25 off their first purchase, and you get benefit back. Any of you are familiar with Uber? The Uber's entire model is a give-get model. So what they do is you download their app, you get a little code, you give it to your friend, they get a discount on their first ride with Uber, you get a discount on your next ride with Uber. Every time you share that code, you give benefit, you get benefit. Give benefit, get benefit. Well, Uber's first 4 or 5 years, they had a $51 billion valuation, all based on the power of this social shopping, social sharing model. And there's 3 things, there's 3 laws of physics to social sharing. Number one is you feel cool. Number two is you can give benefit. Number three is you get benefit. So if those three physics are in place, you feel kind of in vogue to tell someone about Uber or Guilt.com or whatever it is, then that's how you can kind of spin those models. Well, that world, there's companies that are coming to market. I could name a bunch of them, candidly, that are growing faster than Amazon and Zappos did. They have trajectories in their first 3, 4, 5, 6 years. I spoke, Pat, with a woman named Alexis Maybank in Tokyo, Japan, in front of 10,000 people at the Ariake Coliseum. Alexis Maybank is the co-founder of Guilt.com, Gilt.com. Guilt.com, with no stores, built $1 billion per year in revenue and over 6 million customers in their first 6 years. I mean, just their numbers were just staggering. And she came there to kind of share her story and so on. We kind of shared the stage together. That world's changing. They're growing faster. Just to give you a context, no network marketing company in history has put in 6 million customers in 6 years and generated $1 billion per year in annual revenue, not in a cumulative billion, but per year in annual revenue. Never happened in network marketing history. So you're watching these two things kind of collide, if you will. The network marketing world is changing where they are asking us to have more real customers. They're basically forcing us, the government, agencies. And again, I'm here to tell you, some of it's actually good. It will regulate some of the kind of weird craziness of our profession out of it. And then the world of retail is changing. So what I'm going to share with you is this. If I'm analyzing a company, if you have to pay any sort of registration fees to be a customer and get wholesale pricing, that to me would be a humongous red flag. If there is not a focus on customer acquisition just in general, like it's just not something that's talked about. If the whole company is built on, and Pat, you and I have seen this for a decade plus now, but it's basically the whole model was built on, there was reps, distributors who recruited more distributors, who recruited more distributors, who recruited more distributors, who also recruited more distributors, and then they all consume the products themselves. It's what's called self-consumption. Now, I just want to point out, I have no problem with reps recruiting reps or distributors recruiting distributors. I don't have an issue with that. I also don't have an issue with them using the product. In other words, I think they should use the product. I think it's kind of disingenuous to recommend a book you've never read or a movie you've never seen or a restaurant you've never eaten at. But if that's the only way you're generating revenue in that company, the FTC is going to have some serious issues with your company.
Right.
They want it to be a 50-50 split. So 50% of the revenue comes from your sales force that consumes the products because they love the product line and so on. The other 50% comes from consumption of people who are not participating in your compensation plan. They're not participating in any way in your compensation program. I'm here to tell you most network marketing companies don't fit anywhere near 50-50. Like they're probably more like 99-1 or less, maybe 99-5, right. 95-5, something like that. And so our profession is changing. So what I would encourage is this. Make sure you have a customer base. Make sure that you have product that is priced for a customer base. Make sure that you have an interaction that a normal customer who could also go shop, and normal customers can shop in normal customer land. They can go shop from Amazon and others. Make sure that they're having an experience that fills kind of a customer engagement, and make sure you have a product line that's unique that people that they want to consume. They want to be a part of, or a mission of the company, mission of the product line that they want to be a part of. So that's I could go for days on this subject, but I'll just end with this idea, Pat. This isn't really arguable anymore. This isn't one of those things where it's like, yeah, well, I don't need to focus on that, or no, this matters. This is like the federal government will regulate that this is the way it has to be. This is where we're headed. So you want to be ahead of the trend, ahead of what's happening. Don't get left lost in the dark, or have your company have some sort of issue. This is very important, very real stuff. These are fights that are being battled in courts around the United States. So this isn't just like one networker trying to recruit from his company to her company or that kind of thing. This is stuff that really does matter. We have to kind of evolve and mature and kind of grow up a little bit as a profession to say we need customers. We need customers. And again, everyone's going to say, yeah, of course we do. Of course we do. But our models aren't built to get customers. They're built to get more reps. And we need models that actually are built to acquire customers. And because you can acquire customers, therefore you acquire reps to go acquire more customers.
Right. Yeah, I obviously I agree 100%. That the way I like to kind of share with people is that the problem with a pyramid scheme isn't that it's illegal. It's illegal because of the inherent problem of it. A pyramid scheme in its purest form is just funneling money up. It's all people that are just paying to be part of this organization where there's no product. If it's a pure pyramid scheme, and the reason that they're bad is because the pyramid scheme is guaranteed to collapse. Well, there's plenty of companies that have tried to mask themselves of just trying to no, we have a product. So you're paying for a product, but still everybody that's in the organization is sure they're getting a product in exchange, but everybody's paying to play. Everybody's in it to be part of the organization. There aren't, like you said, there aren't the legitimate customers. So it's sort of a quasi-pyramid scheme. It's a hybrid pyramid scheme. And so, if it's only half pyramid scheme, well, then maybe it's only half guaranteed to collapse. But it's still half guaranteed to collapse. And the way that you, like you've talked about, the way that you should be building a legitimate business is you need to make sure that you can go out there and get a legitimate customer with your product or service, that you can go out there in the marketplace and actually find somebody that has zero interest in your business opportunity, and you can get them excited about your product and get them buying from you consistently, your product or service, and actually make a commission off of somebody that has no interest in building the business with you. And if you can do that, especially if you can do it a lot, hopefully a large portion of your income comes from those types of people, and that's a really solid, legitimate business. But there's a lot of companies out there that are lacking that. And by the way, again, we're kind of throwing out this side, and I wanted to bring this up with Justin because I know we're kind of on the same page with that. There's people that I have tremendous respect for that I've interviewed on these calls that we'd probably argue tooth and nail about this topic and go back and forth about it, that they would disagree with us on it. So I bring this up for everybody listening as a topic to kind of put the discussion out there to get people considering it, because I think it's an important topic to bring up. So anyway, I appreciate that, Justin. So let me now jump topics with you. And I know I'm taking a big bite out of your evening, but I would love to dive in, take a few minutes to kind of walk everybody through kind of your morning routines. Our whole concept with the Miracle Morning is not every successful person does all of these different things that we talk about in the Miracle Morning, but most successful people do some of them. And not everybody does it in the morning. Not everybody does it, or some people do it in the evening, or they maybe have their daily rituals. But almost every successful person that I've met has kind of these daily things that they kind of are the rituals that they consider to be really core to the success of their day, to the success of their year, et cetera. So walk us through what some of those, how your morning looks, or some of those daily rituals that you consider to be just really fundamental to setting up your day or setting up your week or setting up your year.
Well, I want to start by saying I completely agree with what you just said, that successful people, I don't know if I've ever met a really genuinely, successful person that just wakes up kind of haphazardly every single day, like with these kind of, wakes up behind the alarm and they're freaking out and they're late and they're this and that. They're almost always pretty patterned people, they have pretty tight schedules. Not tight schedules, but pretty regimented. They do what they do. It's on purpose. It's by design, and they craft their days as opposed to have their days craft them. So, Pat, one of the reasons I actually was excited about the Miracle Morning, the original book, is because I just believe deeply in Hal Elrod's his philosophy. And I also pulled a lot of neat, kind of gleaned some neat ideas from, his take. And I remember how passionate you got about it. And I just completely agree. So for me, I wake up in the morning. I have my phone always on. I don't even know what the mode's called, but it's the one that has on an iPhone the little moon, right? It's kind of like a sleep mode.
Yeah, do not disturb. Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah, the do not disturb mode. For me, that's very important because I tend to get a lot of emails and text messages and Facebook messages, et cetera, that will come through like in the morning. I could scroll for days on stuff that's come through. And so that's important. I'm not hearing the buzzes and so on. So when I can kind of
Emily wants to kill me at night if I forget to turn on Do Not Disturb mode because it's beeping all night and I just sleep.
Oh, for
yeah,
sure.
I do the same thing. Do Not Disturb mode every night for sure, yeah.
Oh yeah, it's not even an option now. So So when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is let me tell you my mental philosophy. I believe that the first 10 to 20 minutes of your morning are some of your most important times to pour into your mind positivity or to pour into negativity. And if you start right with Facebook, or if you start right with the news, or if you start right with even text messages, emails, because sometimes in your business life you have to chew through challenges, you have to chew through obstacles. I believe that you can't give what you don't have. An empty place don't feed starving children. So if you have a well that you fill with water, if you're digging at the bottom of that well and there's only dirt and rocks, you can't give water. You can't pour into everybody else, and you can't until you've poured into yourself. And so my first about 10 to 20 minutes, and each day is you have different demands. So my goal is at least I have 10 to 20 minutes. I don't typically roll out and go right into prayer, and I'm going to tell you guys why. Typically when I wake up in the morning, I'm still really exhausted. And so if I fall right onto my knees and start praying, I'm going to fall right back asleep, but I'll just be kneeling, And so I try and actually move. Like I'll typically get up, I'll walk to the restroom, and then I have two different daily kind of thoughts of the day. That one's emailed, one's texted to me. There's stuff I've opted into. And but then also I'll go to YouTube, and I have some patterns on YouTube that I'll listen to. Now, one thing I didn't put in the book, Pat, that I was remiss that I didn't put in there, is I like to listen to kind of the same stuff repeatedly. And maybe I'm weird this way. Maybe this will be helpful for someone else. But I don't just listen to just random stuff all over the place. Like I'll get into patterns where I'll listen to the one speech over and over and over and over and over and over. I have a Les Brown 15-minute little clip. I'll bet you I've heard it 1,500 times, and that's not an exaggeration. Just over and over and over, and I don't know why. It's not even that profound. This one little clip, so 15 minutes long, but it just kind of helps me get in the right mind, the right frame of mind. And so I'll listen to that. I'll after kind of in the morning, I'll brush my teeth, splash my face with some cold water, kind of get myself going a little bit. I've learned to use headphones in the morning because my poor wife is still typically asleep at this point. And I used to have my phone kind of going, and she's like, "Yo, dude, I love your positive stuff, but go back to bed," But so have my headphones in, and I will take the first, as I'm getting ready. I'm just pouring it. It's your subconscious mind. I'm going to encourage you guys to listen to this type of stuff with what I call relaxed belief. Just you don't need to fight it, whether you like the message, hate the message. Just let the positivity pour in. And there's so many different people that you can use to listen to their messages, including Pat. Some of the best YouTubes that are on YouTube are Pat Petrini YouTubes. And I'm not saying that just because we're on the phone together. He's got some great insights, great perspectives, great messages. He's subscribed to his channel. But there's also, the Tony Robbins of the world, and Les Brown and Jim Rohn and whoever else you want to pick, whoever kind of gets you going in the morning. So I'll listen to those. If I don't eat in the morning, before I work out, I'll eat after. But the first thing that I eat in the morning is almost always protein. Like I'll typically do egg whites. And that's also really important for me. But I would encourage you, don't start your morning sugary. Don't have like a sugary cereal, or don't have anything that's going to spike up your insulin levels. I'll typically have some egg whites with some oatmeal. I almost always go to the gym. I've gone to the gym. It's so funny. Think of this the other day. I've gone to the gym every single day, basically 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week, but an average of probably 5 days a week, every day basically for 20 years. It's amazing to think about it now, but it is such an ingrained part of my world. And it's not that I'm Mr. Fitness bodybuilder guy. I'm certainly not. But it's just as important for me mentally as it is for me physically. And very important physical relief. It's a very important mental relief. I feel like I perform better in business and as a husband and as a father when I'm in physically fit. If I feel like if I'm kind of, not eating as clean or just kind of let it go a little bit, I don't feel like I'm as sharp mentally and as sharp as a father and as a husband and in my business. And so I'll typically go to the gym, and my routine lately has been I can actually come back from the gym and have really clean breakfast, have my kind of some meals set out for the rest of the day, kiss my kids, kind of help them get going. Again, they're homeschooled, so kind of help them get going in the morning just real quickly. And then my son has also been coming with me to the gym pretty regularly, probably three to four times out of the 5 a week. And that's kind of fun time for me because he'll go and shoot baskets and so on. And what I'll typically do is as we drive, I'll have him listen to one of these little thoughts of the day, these little 1 to 3 or 4 minute clips. And then I'll ask him his take. And it's been really cool just for me as a dad to watch this little boy who's 11 years old, kind of share with you what he hears from these takes, right? So that's kind of some cool little time we have just for a few minutes as we drive to the gym and hear his perspective and how that information hits him. And so again, whether it's spiritual or kind of a motivational type messages, the stuff that I'll typically listen to, I'm getting going. Now at the gym, even if I have a partner, I almost always, you'll have these guys that go to the gym, they listen to like heavy metal music or something like that, something to really fire them up. I'm like the exact opposite. I'll go to the gym and listen to like Jim Rohn. I'm like the only guy at the gym listening to motivational CDs. But I have done that. It's what I call, Tony Robbins calls it net time. You're no extra time. Like when you're in the car or, on a treadmill or lifting weights or whatever it is, to just have that stuff just pouring into your mind. So like my first hour to hour and a half in the morning, I poured in quite a bit of stuff. Another little tip I'll share with you guys is learn to teach what you're learning. So find times in the day to try and teach the principle you heard in the morning, or to share the quote you heard in the morning, or to relay the inspiration you heard in the morning. Because you know how it is. You don't learn when you learn when you teach. And so stuff really gets ingrained in you when you actually teach what you're hearing, teach what you're learning. When you share it is when it actually, gets absorbed into you. So that's a little bit of my pattern. More of my reading time is more nighttime stuff. Again, when I wake up in the morning, I'm just not that morning guy. Like you meet those people that are like, zippity-doo, God, day is here, and they're just like jumping around. I'm not that guy. I am definitely not that guy. And so for me, audio works a lot better than if I sat there and tried to read, I would fall back asleep and, I'd probably throw my whole morning off. So everyone's different. Everyone's unique. Kind of have to find your own pattern. But for me, those first 10 to 20 minutes are extremely important to me. I don't let myself check Facebook or text or emails. I don't let myself go through any of my social media channels. And it's not that I don't have a ton to cover, information to catch back up on. I certainly do. But I'll always start with at least 10 minutes of positive before I start getting back to my messages, making sure my appointments are set for the day and so on. And then, again, my goal is at the gym is to pour some more in while I'm there and to really kind of see if I can start my day on the right foot with healthy food, healthy stuff, that you're listening to, and then also physical movement, physical fitness.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and I totally agree with you on the whole social media, email thing. I keep my phone. I've now started to keep my phone on like do not disturb mode for a lot of the time, but definitely when I'm doing my kind of morning routine, it's always on that because it takes one text message that is like semi-important or urgent, or one email for you to glance at, for it to just destroy your morning routine. And then all of a sudden you're just totally off track, and you start doing that a few days in a row, and now you're not you're not hitting the gym, or you're not doing these things that are over time they either lead to dramatic increases or dramatic decreases. It just takes a few emails and social media distractions or whatever to totally screw that stuff up for me. So I think that's
totally
really important. Awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate it. We're I don't know, we've got to be like running about an hour or so. I really appreciate you blocking out the time to. I think we've covered a lot of really, really good stuff. If anybody is wanting to reach out to you, actually, I'll say this: if you have any closing thoughts that we haven't covered, anything that you want to throw out, of course, feel free. That we haven't touched on. But aside from that, if people want to reach out, find you online, social media, whatever, what would be the best way to do that?
So you can go to my site at IamJustinPrince.com. Obviously, I'm on kind of all the social media channels: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, etc. I have a fan page on Facebook. I have my personal page on Facebook. I'd love to connect. It's always good to, again, I do believe this. It's good. There's enough negative, nasty people in the world. It's good for those of us who are kind of more positive and optimistic
right.
to get together. But here's maybe my final, shot is I remember hearing Jim Rohn say years ago that life is not about what you get, but who you become in the process. And the challenge is to build your value that you bring to the marketplace. And that seems a little maybe cliche, if you will, or ethereal. But why is it that someone makes $8 an hour, someone else makes $80 an hour, someone else makes $800 an hour, someone else makes $80,000 an hour? What's the difference? Why are some people ultra successful and others aren't? And the answer is not that they have more hours. The answer is they bring more value to each hour. They bring more value to the marketplace in that same amount of time. And so I've been able to pick it down to 4 things that increase your value. Read great books, listen to inspiring information, surround yourself with great people, and apply what you learn. And the reason I'm so excited, Pat, about the work that you're doing, obviously in conjunction with this whole Miracle Morning community, is because it inspires people to read great books. And I believe that the books you read will define you. And so reading great books is super important. Listening to inspiring information, we've even talked about that as part of my routine in the morning, but that's part of the Miracle Morning's message, is to listen to, to build patterns in your life where you're pouring in great information. 3 is to surround yourself with great people. Again, it's one of the reasons I like this community. You're surrounding yourself with great people. Those associations, one of the reasons, Pat, you and I have built such a friendship over the years is your associations are so powerful. The relationships, the friendships that you build. And lastly is apply what you learn. Da Vinci said, it's he that doeth the deed that hath the power. So if you want the power, it's in the doing of the deed. It's not in the reading, not in the listening, not in the surrounding. It's actually in the applying. So my best advice would be this. Apply what you're learning. Just use that ambition, use that hunger, and apply what you learn. And as you read, listen, surround, and apply, you're going to become the person you want because you're going to increase the value that you bring to the marketplace. So honored to be on with you, and appreciate the great work you guys are up to.
Awesome, man. Well, again, really appreciate the time. Thanks so much for being part of this. And for everybody tuning in, of course, check Justin out online. You can find him at the place he mentioned. You can check out all of our other interviews that we have at TMM, like the Miracle Morning, TMM for networkmarketers.com. You can find all of our stuff there. If you found this online and you haven't read the book, then of course go get the book, The Miracle Morning for Network Marketers, and find it on Amazon. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and Justin especially, thanks so much for your time. Really appreciate it, and appreciate your friendship. Always love connecting with you.
You're the man. I sure appreciate the time. Talk soon.
Hey, this is Pat Petrini again, and just to wrap up really quickly, I just want to remind you that if you liked this interview, we've got a whole bunch more. If you go to our website, it's tmm4networkmarketers.com. That's TMM, like the Miracle Morning, FOR, networkmarketers.com. And, of course, if you haven't checked out the book yet, you can go to, first off, you get 2 free chapters of the book at tmm4networkmarketers.com. And then, of course, if you want to get the book, go to Amazon and just search for The Miracle Morning for networkmarketers.com, and you can get it paperback, Kindle, whatever. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you really enjoy the rest of the content that we've made available for you. Thanks a lot. Again, my name is Pat Petrini, and I'll see you on the next interview.